Welcome to another edition of Community Matters. I'm Jim Cameron, your host and the program director of TV 79. And you, as a faithful viewer, know that this is a program where we talk about what's going on in the Darien community. And we're joined today by Wyn Lydecker, who is involved with the Cherry Lawn Community Garden. Wyn, good to have you on the show.
Great to be here.
So, as its name implies, this community garden is at Cherry Lawn Park.
Yes,
And it's coming up on its 50th anniversary.
that's right.
So I'm a little curious about what the history of the gardens is. Can you fill us in on that?
Sure. Back in the mid 1970s, the town bought the property that became Cherry Lawn Park. And the Garden Club of Darien persuaded the town that there should be a community garden there. And they raised the Garden Club of Darien, which is affiliated with Garden Clubs of America, raised the money through a flower show to actually set up the garden. And the rest is history.
And how big is the garden?
I don't know the actual acreage, but it is, let's figure it out. There's 60 plots, and each plot is about 10 by 10, and there are paths in between. So it takes up quite a lot of space.
Hmm. And do you have to be a member of the community garden to be able to take advantage of it?
Yes, the town actually, Parks and Rec from the town actually controls the garden. And if you want to sign up, and there's a waiting list, by the way, you have to fill out a form with the town and pay them $30.
And if
And
you
then
go
you get
ahead,
then you get a plot assigned to you.
and if you get a plot, are you free to grow anything you want in there that's legal?
Well, that's the question. You may not grow marijuana, no cannabis allowed, and no potatoes. And the reason they don't allow potatoes is because they attract really horrible bugs that then go and eat the eggplants and the tomatoes and lots of other plants.
And what kind of things do people grow in the community garden?
Oh gosh, it's incredible. And one of the things I love about gardening there is when you walk through the paths, every garden is different. Everybody grows different stuff. It's fantastic. I've seen people grow well, the kale is popular, lettuce, spinach, arugula, peas, tomatoes, of course. There's nothing like a homegrown summer tomato. All sorts of squashes, delicata squash, zucchini, the winter squashes. People grow eggplants and okra. The okra plants are absolutely gorgeous. They have these beautiful flowers. And I thought, what is that plant? So I finally found out. Um, what else? Oh, rhubarb is popular. And then some people grow berries, raspberries, strawberries. Um, what else have I seen there? Blackberries. So there's quite a variety of fruits and vegetables that people grow.
And do some people just grow ornamental flowers?
Yes, yes. There's dahlias are very popular. Some people have roses. What else do we? Yeah, dahlias are the most popular. I would say chrysanthemums are grown. Zinnias, cosmos, bachelor buttons, all sorts of stuff. I happen to have a lot of poppies in my garden that come up every spring. They're self-seeded and I call them volunteers. Uh, and the poppies are beautiful, but you can't cut them and take them home. You just have to admire them in the garden. Another thing I love to grow that I let self-seed is sunflowers, and people have all sorts of sunflowers, small ones, big ones, and people get very excited about their seeds. Some people order seeds from all sorts of esoteric catalogs and they start their seeds inside, and other people just go to a local, like the garden center, and they get they buy plants.
Right.
And we
And
always people are always asking each other, where'd you get your seeds? Where'd you get your plants? And there's lots of sharing of information, which is fantastic. It's called a community garden, and it is a community.
are you free to use fertilizer if you want, or do you have to grow organically?
Yes, it's a purely an organic garden, and we are part of the pollinator pathway. We Nothing that has anything that's bad in it is allowed to be used. And by bad, I mean something that's real toxic to bees, toxic to human beings. It has to be what's called OMRI approved. And so lots of people use compost, they use manure, they used Alaska fish fertilizer, or all sorts of organic fertilizers and organic ways of controlling weeds. The most popular one is to just pull the weeds. And in our paths, you pull the weeds and you put down newspaper and wood chips. We get wood chips delivered in the spring, and then people put the wood chips on the paths to keep the weeds down. And the town does give us a big load of compost from the dump. Um, I don't know how many of your viewers know that there's fantastic compost at the dump that you can just pick up for free if you have a dump sticker. And then people use that compost to make their gardens.
Wyn Lydecker is the official map maker at the Cherry Lawn Community Garden, and she's joining us today on Community Matters, talking about the 50th anniversary of the gardens, which is coming up. Some celebrations we'll talk about in a moment as well too. Um, so, as the map maker, you assign who does which particular plots, but who's responsible for the pathways between the plots?
Okay, I don't do any assignments. I just record. I just make the map. Um, I'm not quite sure who makes the assignments because they started a long, long time ago. And what I think it's Dorothy Shergalis, who is our president. She'll know if some gardener has dropped out, and then the town will tell her who has come up on the wait list and who has paid money to have a plot, and then that person will be added. Originally, when they first had the gardens, it was just this huge field, and it was plowed. There was no fence around it. And it was plowed every spring by they hired a big plow from elsewhere to come in and just like a farm. And then the garden committee went around with stakes, and the stakes were sharpened by men at the Darien Senior Center. And each stake had the plot numbers. It's like a coordinate, just like playing Battleship, E6 and
Hmm.
A1. And they put those in the ground to tell you where your plot was. And then you went and gardened in that area. But people got confused over which plots they had to take care of. Sometimes they got confused about which paths they were responsible for. And finally, that changed. When the town put up a huge fence, we asked for a 10-foot fence all around the perimeter because we wanted to keep the deer away, because the deer were destroying the gardens.
And does that work? The deer don't get in
Yes.
there?
No, they can't leap over a 10-foot fence. We still get bunnies. We've had a few groundhogs. We get voles. We get chipmunks, but no deer. At least
So
not so far.
not so far, yeah, because they like to eat all kinds of,
Yeah.
people's hard
But
work as well too.
but to answer your question, now that we know where our plots are and it's not going to be plowed, people have put their own fencing around their plots and to keep the voles and the chipmunks and the rabbits out. And
Right.
they know, and then Dorothy has assigned which paths everybody's responsible for in terms of weeding. And when I make the map, I indicate that on the map.
And
What
the plot owners get along pretty well together?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. I think
Yeah.
every now and then somebody says, I don't know why that person's not weeding their plot, and then they'll just do it. But yes, I think it truly is a community, and we have a couple of parties during the year, little garden parties, and we get together and enjoy each other's company. And as I said earlier, we share information. People share plants and seeds. If they have too many seedlings that they've raised, they'll put them out and say, "Here, take them." And then some people, when they go away on vacation, say, will you water for me, and will you take my produce? Or they'll say, take my extra, or people will take their extra and give it to person or to the food pantries. So people have fresh vegetables.
That's nice. Um, if I'm not a member of the garden, am I allowed to go into the garden and walk around and look at the plots and the plants?
Yeah, we welcome people to come and look at them, but we don't want people to come in and pick them. Pick. We have locks. Unfortunately, we did have to start putting locks on the garden because people were coming in and they were just helping themselves to the vegetables. And that was so sad. There was one time where a family had grown a pumpkin for Halloween and somebody stole their pumpkin. And you know, it's just crazy. And it made the family so sad.
But if the garden is, if somebody's in there, they've unlocked the gate and they're doing some work on their garden, it's okay for me to walk in and walk around and take a
Yeah.
look and so
Yeah.
and show things. Take the kids in, but again, look, don't touch, don't pick, etc.
Right. Right.
Yeah. What's
And when
the
the children are brought in, from the nature center or the schools, they always tell the kids all those rules.
what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen grown in the community gardens?
Oh gosh. Last year, uh, one of our gardeners grew she called it a zucchini, but I swear it was probably 5 feet long and it curled around and it was delicious. She let me have one and it was really delicious. I was so surprised.
And there's water available, I assume, for the gardeners to use.
Oh, yes. And that's improved over the years. We used to only have one faucet and lots of long, long hoses, but now the town has put in several faucets and they've renovated the faucets and improved the water pressure. So that makes it so much easier. And we have hoses. Um, it used to be that we had our own money and we paid the town for water. So if you had a plot, you had to make out two checks, one for the town and one for the Cherry Lawn Gardens Committee. And that's no longer true. The town took over everything. So you just pay one check. But we've used the money for buying tools. We have a tool shed and we share our tools. We have hoses and we have to share the hoses and take care of the hoses.
So you have a 50th anniversary celebration coming up at the end of the month, Saturday the 28th from 1 until 4 p.m., if I'm correct.
That's correct.
What's going to happen then?
Oh, Jim, we're going to have all sorts of interesting things going on. There's going to be a beekeeper who talks about beekeeping. We're going to have a demonstration of how to split irises. We're going to have the Dahlia, I think it's called the Dahlia Association of Greenwich is going to talk. We have a master gardener coming to show how to do soil testing. Swap Shop is going to have a table, and they have collected all sorts of garden related items that people have brought to the swap shop, and they're going to start giving stuff away on a so that's going to be really fun. There are going to be crafts and activities for kids. We're going to have games for kids to play. We're going to have pressed flower bookmarks. We're going to have rock painting, a whole bunch of stuff. And as soon as I stop talking to you, I'm probably going to remember all sorts of things that I didn't tell you. But we have a lot of terrific people who are lined up and organizations that are lined up. The Gardener Center's coming, the Garden Club of Darien, the Nature Center's participating. If I if you give me a sec, I'm gonna oh, the Darien Land Trust, a group called Pink Rhubarb. Um, who else is coming? The Darien Arts Center, Pollinator Pathway. And it's the Greenwich Dahlia Association. That's the correct name. So we've got Gart, yeah, we've got lots of people and lots of good activities, and we think it's going to be very beneficial for families and anybody and anybody of any age can participate and learn something. I mean, we're going to be oriented toward nature and gardening. All the activities and all the information is going that we give out.
Is it rain or shine, or is there a rain date?
There is a rain date. Good question. It's the next day, Sunday, June 29th. So hopefully we will not have a washout and it will be a fantastic day.
Aside from joining in the festivities on Saturday, June 28th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Cherry Lawn Community Garden, how can people get more information about the garden if they're interested in getting on the waiting list and doing some growing themselves?
Contact the town Parks and Recreation.
Department of Parks and Recreation?
Yes.
Great. Well, at the end of this program, I'll put a slide in with the contact information at Parks and Rec. So if you, our faithful viewers, are interested in getting more information, you can find it there. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Um, I want to add that once upon a time, this was in the early 2000s, the town thought of moving the gardens and putting in a lacrosse field. And the gardeners got really, really upset and fought that. And we were able to save the gardens, keep them where they are. And I think it was a great thing.
Well, first of all, congratulations on 50 years. I hope you don't get rained on Saturday the 28th. I hope it's a wonderful festivity. And I want to thank you for being on the program.
I want to thank you for having me.
And
Fantastic.
thank you, our faithful viewers, whether you grow plants or not, for watching another edition of Community Matters.